What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. Don't forget, we are going to be live tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. We're going to be talking about all things Red Sox, what they're going to look like in spring training, what they're going to look like regular season, some storylines to follow in spring training. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, what the Red Sox are going to do next. So if you want to talk about any of that live and in person, again, that is going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time this Wednesday on this channel. Hope to see you all there. Anyways, one of the more exciting storylines going into the 2023 regular season for this Red Sox team is what the future of this team is going to look like. What I mean by that are guys like Bello and Casas and what their full impact on this Red Sox team is going to look like, because it's going to be vital for the 2023 Red Sox, but it's also going to be vital for Red Sox teams in years to come. However, Casas and Bello are not the only ones who could be making their major league debut in 2023. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about some of the prospects that could have a huge impact on this 2023 team, talk about the guys who are closest to coming up, who may come up first, and what their role is going to look like. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Let's start with the big name, right? Let's talk about Ceddanne Rafaela and when he could, or if he's going to, make an appearance on this Red Sox team. For those of you who may not know, Ceddanne is currently the 4th highest ranked prospect in the Red Sox system, according to Sox Prospect, but depending on where you look, he's also ranked 3rd like MLB Pipeline. Now, Ceddanne Rafaela is one, if not the best defensive prospect in all of baseball. He has an elite defense at shortstop and really anywhere in the outfield, but he's been playing a lot of center field, and that kind of lines up perfectly for people to start talking about Ceddanne Rafaela on the Red Sox to start the year in 2023. Kike is a great defender no matter where you play him, but he hasn't really played shortstop full time in a while. Adam Duvall will give you above average defense in center field, but again, it's a guy who's never really played center field full time, and so for Ceddanne Rafaela, it looks like the path is pretty clear. In fact, there's really only one thing holding him back. Well, two. The first is that Ceddanne Rafaela has a little bit of a plate discipline issue. In 2022, his walk rate was sitting at 5.1%, while his K rate was sitting at 19.8. He does tend to chase and swing and miss a lot at pitches outside of the zone. He doesn't get a ton of walks, but he does strike out a pretty decent amount. That is something the Red Sox have been public about being concerned with. On top of that, too, the second reason it may take a little bit for Ceddanne Rafaela to make his way up is because the highest level he's hit at in the minor leagues is AA. Chaim Bloom has been very outspoken about wanting to get guys into that AAA level to get their feet wet at AAA before bringing them up to the major leagues. So it's really highly unlikely that Ceddanne Rafaela will start the year at the major league level. In fact, he may even start the year at the AA level. It has not been confirmed yet that Ceddanne Rafaela is going to start the year in AAA. In my opinion, spring training is going to be used as sort of an evaluation of where he's at, what he kind of improved on over the offseason, and where the Red Sox think they should start him. If all goes according to plan, though, there is a path for Ceddanne to make the major leagues in 2023. If he comes into spring training and he evaluates well and they believe that he's ready for AAA and he starts the year there and he quickly does make these adjustments, he starts taking a little bit more walks, he starts striking out a little bit less. In my opinion, Rafaela would be the perfect addition to this Red Sox bench. He gives you elite level defense, he's got some pop in the bat, and he's pretty quick. It's a guy who you could really use as a bench utility type player, at least this year, and then obviously see if he can graduate into a more regular everyday role. But as for his immediate impact on this 2023 team, yes, I think there's a chance that we do see him towards the end of 2023, but I don't expect him to break camp with the Boston Red Sox. The second guy I could see making his major league debut in 2023 is Brayan, mostly because of a role he could fill in the bullpen. Brayan has one of the best fastballs in our farm system, right? He can reach speeds of up to 100 miles an hour with that fastball. He also has 3 other pitches to mess around with, and in general is a very, very talented pitcher in the minor league levels. And while we're pretty backed up in that starting rotation, and it's going to be tough to bring guys up and see what they could do as a starter in 2023, as we saw in 2022, a bullpen can be extremely volatile, and throwing 100 miles an hour with a nice changeup, slider, and curveball behind it doesn't exactly grow grow on trees. The biggest concern with Brayan, I think everyone is kind of on the same page with, is his injury history. He had Tommy John surgery in 2021, only pitched in a couple of games in 2022, and in fact his last full season in the minor leagues was in 2017, where he was finally fully healthy. So that was what, about 5 years ago. Brayan definitely has the talent, so if Brayan can stay healthy at least for a majority portion of the 2023 season in the minor leagues, I could definitely see the Red Sox leaning on him at some point this year, especially if guys like Caleb Ward or Zach Kelly are really struggling at the major league level. I could 100% see them taking a chance on Brayan, but it's probably not going to be until the second half of the year because of that injury concern. But either way, I could definitely see Brayan making an appearance at the major league level in 2023. Now, this next guy could actually make an impact a little bit earlier than everyone else, and that's Emmanuel Valdez, who, if you don't remember, is the prospect that we got, or one of the prospects that we got in the Christian Vasquez trade in 2022. And the reason I say that he could make an early impact is because of the position he plays. Technically speaking, Emmanuel Valdez is a utility player. He's played some second base, he's played some third base, some left field, some first base. And the reason I use technically and not that he is a utility player is because he's not playing all those positions because a team needs him to, or a team feels as though he'd be better fit there. He's playing those positions because he simply is not a great defender. So I use the term utility man pretty loosely here, but he does still have the ability to play positions where the Red Sox are fairly thin right now. On top of that too, he does have some pop in that bat and has spent a decent amount of time in AAA. Plus, on top of that too, his ceiling for his at-bats is pretty high, and there is potential there to be a well-rounded hitter. The combination between the Red Sox not having a ton of depth in the middle infield and the fact that he has spent some time at the higher level in the minor leagues could lead to Emmanuel Valdez getting a call up to either fill in for a guy who's injured or come in when a guy isn't doing well, i.e. Duran or Dahlbeck. Maybe they swap places a couple of times. I could even see Emmanuel Valdez, if he does really well in spring training and is at least serviceable at second base, even breaking camp with the major league team, barring any sort of bigger signings here like Iglesias, Andrews, or Profar. So Emmanuel Valdez is a guy I could see out of all of these guys making an appearance pretty early on in the 2023 season. As for his impact, the only way he's really going to be able to truly impact this Red Sox team is with that bat. The final couple of guys here that I think could make a major league appearance from our minor league system in 2023, I'm going to lump them together because it'd kind of be a pretty similar scenario. And it's because the Red Sox right now only have 2 lefties out of the bullpen. Now, obviously the AL East and honestly a lot of baseball has a lot of right-handed power right now, so a lefty specialist isn't as needed as it once was, but having lefty options is still very important. As we talked about with Brayan, the bullpen can be extremely volatile, especially with our lefty options, because we've seen neither of them pitch in a Red Sox uniform. That kind of leaves the door open for some lefty relievers to make their way to the major leagues. I'm talking about guys like Brandon Walter and Chris Murphy. Both of these guys are left-handed pitchers who have a lot of potential, although struggled in 2022. Walter was hurt, but both of them have spent significant time at the AAA level and seem almost ready to at least see what they can do at the major league level. So I could see one, if not both of these guys at some point in this season making an impact at the major league level. One, obviously, if Joely Rodriguez doesn't do well, maybe Blyer's having a tough time. Again, you've got those sort of back half of the bullpen type guys like Caleb Ort, Zach Kelly, Ryan Brazier, who if they start struggling too, they could look to the minor leagues to see if they can get someone else up. And one of these guys wouldn't be a bad option at all. The other circumstance is obviously injury. Like we talked about with the line right now on this roster to be in the starting rotation is fairly long, but if there are enough injuries, these could be a couple of guys who are considered for the major league rotation. But in my opinion, the most likely scenario is we are going to see them as a lefty specialist type option out of the bullpen in 2023, probably in the later half of the year. All in all, I think there are actually a lot of players that could make their major league debut for the Red Sox in 2023, and not just make a debut like a Connor Wong type appearance the last couple of years where he's up here for 2-3 days and then gets sent back down. I'm talking about being here for a month, 2 months, having a legitimate impact on the outcome of this Red Sox season. I think we're going to see a couple of guys make their way up that do end up doing that. In my opinion, like I said, I think the most likely to be called up first would be Emmanuel Valdez, just because of the lack of depth we have at that position right now. But the guy who I think could make the most impact right away would be Chris Murphy. I think he's a guy who you could slot into that lefty option in the bullpen. He'd do a really great job. And the guy I'm most excited / curious about what their path looks like to the major leagues is obviously Ceddanne Rafaela, because of how high his upside is. But I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think is going to be the first prospect to join this Red Sox team in 2023? Who do you think is going to have the highest impact? And was there anyone who I left out who you think could be added to this roster at some point this season? Let me know all your thoughts on prospects affecting the 2023 Red Sox down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well, as it helps these videos out a ton and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel and in the Red Sea.